Are we live yet? Fuck.
Yeah, we're live.
Oh my god. Hello, everybody. I'm Aaron Justin Bryant from Table Knights Entertainment, recently recovering from a horrible bout with a dentist who decided to get demonic on my mouth and rip out my wisdom teeth.
Aaron is now struggling as a half-demon in the world of men.
No, he's just struggling because he was a cleric, and now all of his whiz score has just been thrown all out.
Wow. All right, Steven, you can leave now.
Wait,
you're
whatever
done.
experience you would have given him, can you give it to me?
No, I'm not giving him. That was terrible.
I gained
That was
3 levels. I gained 3 levels in pun mastery.
So, anyways,
I take the prestige class pun goblin.
Talk 20 to me, god damn it. And tonight we're talking about...
This is what happens when you bring me on, Aaron.
He's talking all types of 20.
And tonight we're talking about tropes, and why they may not be terrible. Of course, some of us may argue otherwise because, you know, we're assholes, but it's totally, you can do that. That's fun. With me tonight is Alec, Leon, Stephen Knoll, and Christopher Lopez. Wow, sorry, Chris.
Sure.
Go ahead and say hello, guys. Alec.
Hello.
I am only sort of associated with Table Knights. You can check out some of my videos on their channel. Steven Recommends is one ongoing series, and that you should check out my channel when it goes up, which is Yankees House of Gaming.
I'm Chris Lopez, and I exist.
He's also part of Table Knights Entertainment. Alec is also part of Table Knights Entertainment, which is part of what you're supposed to do in the intro. Ow! Damn it!
They're already watching Table Knights, that's the thing.
Yes, I know, but we usually do that. Anyways, god damn, my mouth hurts like a bitch. Always remember to donate to Child's Play should it so please you. The link is in the description below. Now, on to tonight's topic. Tropes, and why they are not a terrible thing. Let's explore what tropes actually are. Let us define the subject of a trope. Chris, what is a definition of a trope to you?
A trope is any action that is essentially done to the point of exhaustion. It's like let's say, oh, the paladin is a jerk kind of thing, or the necromancer is the sneaky bastard who pretends to be a cleric, or the thief that thieves.
Oh wow, that's so descriptive. Please tell me more about this thief who does his job.
Yeah, that's the thing. No one likes him. There's never been.
I think a more accurate thing is the thief who steals from the party, because that's my character.
Yeah, that basically something like that. Something I've noticed is that thieves never really are liked ever in the party for any reason. It's never like, oh yeah, he's a friend, whatever. It's
That
always
is not
he's
true,
a thief.
always. Ravencroft
No, I know.
is liked by a few people.
Okay, but they mostly see you as that philanthropist rich guy. Basically, you're like, I don't know, the Bruce of the group. I'm speaking mostly like Vederick. Like, everyone except Zexon hates this guy for no reason. I do think partially that's out of character, at least partially, but in character for sure no one except Zexon even likes him, and Gestalt obviously doesn't care.
Alright, and Steven, your definition of a trope.
A trope is a repeated thing that crops up in storytelling, particularly. It's not limited to just tabletops. It's not limited to just books, movies, anything. It's a storytelling thing. The way tropes work is they're different from cliches in that cliches are the ones that are done to death. Tropes are just a common like thing that crops up in stories because you know what, it happens. Like the whole point of a trope is that like yes, it's like an archetype or a cliche, but it's just not as it's more of a accepted cliche. It's like it's what happens. It's like a widely accepted thing that just is a recurring thing in storytelling, and the way that tropes work is usually they're just like it's a common theme, but usually there's a spin put on it that makes it like slightly different from story to story, but it's a common theme as opposed to like a very specific event that's just over and over and over again repeated exactly the same.
All right, and Alec, your definition of a trope.
Um, Steven's definition was pretty good. Um, I'm not quite sure how to build on that. I guess I'll say it by this. I always viewed tropes as narrative stereotypes, I guess you could call them, but stereotypes that are to be used as building blocks to build more complex narrative structures on top of.
That's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with the definitions that all of you put up, but I would say that tropes are more like a foundation for storytelling, in that it's a great place for you to start and then end up somewhere else. But you guys already pretty much put everything out there that could have been put. So that being said, why would tropes not be the worst thing in the world? Let's start with Alec.
Well, and if we're talking about tabletop games,
We are.
yes, we are. That's kind of our thing. So tropes can establish familiarity, and that's particularly useful in assembling a team together. Because players might bring to the table characters who are from different walks of life, and they have different goals and different personality types. But the thing that links them can be tropes. A party is expected, I guess, to have wizards and thieves and warriors, and the characters know this. They know that they need folks in their team to round themselves out and cover what they need to cover.
I would
But
have to argue with that. They don't always know that. I've
well,
seen
they should.
terrible party composition.
I'm also gonna have to argue that because like you may think that it's like, oh yeah, I need this or I need this. I need a doctor or I need a because like I don't, let's face it, I don't usually play D&D. I usually play ones that are like systems that are a little out there, but still you still have characters who fall into those sort of general archetypes. The sneaky one, the brawling one, the
Yeah, the
healer
classic
one.
archetypes is the war, like the person who fights the person who sneaks.
The melee fighter, the sneaky one, the magical one if they have that, and the healer. But here's the thing: is like I've seen party compositions that run the gamut. I've seen parties like, for example, in a Deadlands game that I'm playing in, we have one fighter, one person who can do combat, who is basically a glass cannon, and two social characters. That's the party. That's all we need. And you know what? It works just fine. We're a perfectly balanced party for that reason. Like, we don't necessarily need a healer. Just go to a town doctor. Don't necessarily need, like, a tank. Just don't get hit. Just kill them before they can kill you. Or, like, use social skills to make them back down. Or to mediate things instead. There's always a way around this sort of party balance thing, and I think that's like a trope that can be circumvented in most cases.
You were saying though, Alec.
Anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
I mean, tropes can also be used narratively. I'm trying to think of some now, but most of the time these are things that we make fun of, like a DM bringing all the characters meet in a tavern over a drink. That's what's kind of the stereotypical way of getting the party together.
Yeah, that's a trope, but that's so classic.
If classic means boring.
Okay, I actually was going to bring this up, but since it's been brought up, I might as well now. Basically, the way I view the whole you guys meet in a tavern thing is, yes, it's a trope. There's a reason it's a trope. It works. It's an instantly familiar establishing shot of like why so many different characters from such different backgrounds, from such weird things, just happen to coincidentally meet each other in the same place. It's because everyone does that. It's
It's a
realistic.
watering hole. Everyone goes to a watering hole.
Everyone goes there. Everyone from every walk of life can and will show up to a tavern. Like, it's just what you do. I mean, like, it may be tropish, but it makes sense because it's like, well, how else are they going to meet? Maybe like they're good, clever GMs can like twist and make up interesting ways for doing that, and that's fine. That's great. But for like, especially for newbie GMs, falling back on tropes makes it a lot easier to just get started. Like, if you just want to get into that story, like you're not really sure how to start, fall back on a trope. Just use the easy thing that makes a lot of sense because you know what, it works. There's a reason why tropes are tropes, and it's because they work.
Indeed. Um. Anything more on that, Alec?
Nope.
Nope. Chris.
Um, I mean, there's a fine line between trope and cliche. Tropes, when used like that, the bar scene, a lot of people who have fond memories of it are going to call it a trope. I'll call it a trope even. But then there are people who just call it a cliche because a lot of people have started it. Almost everybody I know has started it that way, any campaign that way. And sometimes it just, it happens. But I think there's a very fine line between trope and cliche that the bar scene is a bit touchy upon.
Well, more specifically, why do you think tropes aren't terrible?
Oh, why they're not terrible?
You specifically.
Why they're not terrible is because, like Alex said, they're easy to fall upon. As well, it's a little more fun. Like, not a little more fun, but when something is very familiar, people are way more comfortable with it. And when you go with a trope, it's familiar, it's comfortable, so people are gonna do their best to, well, not do their best, but it's just easier for people to do something with that. Oh, we meet in a bar. Oh, I'm gonna start a bar fight. There we go. Like, instead of just like, I'm gonna go to this town and I'm gonna start a bar fight. Like, nobody really does that, except for the very beginning of the story.
No, usually they just set the town on fire.
Yeah, something like that.
Steven.
Okay, so here's the deal that I have about tropes. So, in other media, there's a reason why it works better in tabletops than in any other medium. Because in any other medium, tropes have been played out so much that it's just seen as lazy writing. And these people who are writing these things, whether it be books, movies, or whatever, are seen to be professionals. And if you're a professional, you should be better than that. You should be better than just being a lazy writer. You need to actually do something to impress us because there's a whole plethora of other things out there that we could be reading or watching or whatever. However, when it comes to tabletops, no one professes to be a professional GM. We're basically all amateur storytellers, and that's the point of it. The point is that we can use tropes because sometimes you just need to do that because you have a bunch of people from all walks of life. Some of them may be new, some of them may be old, but you know what? If you need something to fall back on, especially since as a GM you're basically storytelling on the fly and you're having to come up with these ideas just week to week or whatever, you gotta be able to just pull something out and use it. And you know what? Tropes are there for that reason. They're something that you can pull out, just whip out, use it, and have it make sense because you know what? Tropes, like I said, tropes work. So, especially for new GMs, you can just say, let's start in the tavern. You start in the tavern, that's easy. First level adventure, you fight goblins or rats or whatever. It's easy, it's a trope, sure, it may feel cliche, but guess what? It's an easy place to start. It's a good place for new. It's and everyone will be instantly recognize it, instantly have fun. It's a tried and true thing that the reason why it's a trope is because it works. It's a tried and true. Everyone knows it. Everyone will immediately recognize it, and everyone can have fun with it just immediately. There's like even like the only thing that I think, and like even like character archetypes, like cliches in character styles or backgrounds, are there for a reason. They're for new players to just sort of get their feet wet and just like have something that's immediately recognizable and immediately something that's easy to role play and say like just like the paladin who's like kind of a jerk about being lawful good. That's like that's easy to play. That's easy to pick up immediately. The only problem comes when you're falling back on these all the time and not actually innovating. And
Developing.
the same thing goes with GMing and using tropes. If you're just constantly falling back on tropes for everything, then you might have a problem because you're not actually innovating and getting better. When you need to just fall on them to start with, or just for like a random thing or whatever, or just to like as like we said as a building block to start with, then it's fine. But you should be innovating and getting better and working off of it instead of using it as a crutch.
I would definitely agree with you, and for me personally, I would liken tropes to a warm bowl of soup.
Chicken soup.
You
Chicken noodle
don't
soup.
want, yeah, chicken noodle soup. You don't want to eat it all the time, but it's really good to come back to.
It's
And
comfort.
it is comfort incarnate, and it just makes you feel warm inside. And what is soup but water and other shit thrown in? Yes, it is an easy recipe, one that goddamn nearly everyone can make, and that's why it works. In fact, my favorite character NPC that I've ever made is a trope upon tropes that trope tropes. And the reason that he works so well is because he goes so far into the trope, he comes out the other side as original. And Chris, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Moon Eye. Moon Eye, Truffle Hog, Rock Gut. The best, the greatest dwarf ever. Yes, he drinks beer. Yes, he gets drunk as all shit. And he's loud, he's obnoxious, but he is one of the kindest and most loving characters that you'll ever meet, even if he's kind of an asshole.
I think that's actually. Sorry, go on.
It's gotten to the point where like the other dwarves don't even compare to him because he's just so far into it. He's so far into being dwarfiness.
He is dwarf.
He's just
He
different.
is dwarf spelled DORF.
Yes. You're gonna say.
Okay, so basically, like that's actually probably one of my favorite ways, like subversions of tropes, is my favorite subversion of a trope is to literally just like be so like play your like archetype or trope or whatever so hard to the hilt that it comes out practically parody of it. It's hilarious in my opinion.
It's when someone tells you to steer into the swerve.
Yeah.
That's what you gotta do.
Like this is my favorite definition of dwarf, and like this is how you like go so hard into the trope that you literally come out the other end as a parody. That is, dwarf is a mountain dwelling alcoholic crossed out short guy who is made of muscle and beard and alcohol and awesome. No member of dwarf society can function without alcohol. Even their infants are made to chug a whole keg of ale down before mommy ever lets the baby near her nipples. Although given the liquor intake of the average dwarven mother, she probably lactates eggnog. They like to live
Alcoholic eggnog.
They like to live in fortresses. Dwarf characters should have one or more combination of the words beer, beard, bronze, stone, urist, Iron Hammer, or Axe in their names. A good example would be Hammer McShieldbearded. That is like the level of how hard you should go into your trope to come out as like the best thing of all time.
Alec, have you ever had a character that was?
Oh yeah, where I got this was from
No,
1D4chan.
not you. I was talking to Alec.
Sorry, no,
damn
no,
it.
no. I'm citing this. That whole little thing. That whole thing came from 1D4chan's definition of dwarf. If you want to read the whole thing, there is so much more, and it's all hilarious.
Alec, have you ever had a character so tropish that it was like non-trope?
No, not to that extent. I can't say.
Well, have you ever played a trope character though?
I mean, I'm sure I have. Let me think of one.
Then
Yeah, I played a bard at one point. And maybe you don't see this as much in fantasy settings, but he was kind of he was a merchant kind of guy, and he was very like used car salesman. Like all of his like charisma was his highest stat, and the whole point of him was to just get as much money as possible from
the
charming
worst
people as
item.
much as they could.
The
Yeah.
rusted sword. He's like, this sword killed a god, and it's like falling apart at the seams, and they're just like, I'll take it.
Pretty much.
Chris, I think that for you, the best trope character you've played is Gestalt. Talk about
Yeah.
Gestalt for a second.
So first off, we created him as our own version of a class of a that people generally like. And I think I kind of set the trope for him. I didn't I don't think I just played the trope. I think I set the trope playing this guy. Basically, he's supposed to have been taken in by a dragon and raised his whole life to become a knight for the dragon. Do his basically all his dirty work. And the thing is, you gotta have to sacrifice something. If you're gonna be really strong and really powerful in a lot of senses, you kind of can't be all that smart. Or if you're really smart, you can't be all that powerful, etc. And he's definitely really strong, not that bright.
It's like what, 5 intelligence out of 20.
He has a 5 intelligence. No, no. He has, I think, the lowest charisma of the group as well, so he's also incredibly ugly. I think he has a 3. I think he has the lowest you can have naturally.
Oh,
And either that or a 4, which is still just as bad. And he, it just, I don't know, I set the precedent. He's a very violent oaf, but the fact that he's so dumb also sets him up to be a very kind, loving character, because he's so naive with a lot of things, but at the same time, his wisdom does grow. So he's very dumb, but he's very wise, like a dragon would be if they were retarded.
I think, okay, my favorite trope character concept, I've never actually played this, I don't know anyone who has played this, but it was told to me by my friend Max, who is a wonderful guy and hilarious. But he's told me about this one character concept that is the tropiest trope, the tropiest min-max character you can find, and that is Herp Derp the Violent Retard.
Hodor.
No, what you do is you max out his strength, his constitution,
Endurance. Where you were gonna say that?
You max out his strength, whatever the strength stat is. You max out whatever the constitution stat is, and you just rock bottom everything else except intelligence, which you put 1 point over the minimum. So basically, the way you play him is he beats everything with whatever nearest object he can find to death, and he eats everything he can actually ingest. But and the thing is he is not extreme. he is extremely, extremely stupid, but he's just smart enough to think he knows more than he does, and to think that he can actually help be more charismatic than he is. So he is not just the most useless thing, except to beat things to death. He is also actively harmful to the rest of the party because he's like, shh, I got this, guys. Let me talk to them.
Yeah, that's
And
Gustavo.
no one can do anything about it because they'll probably get beaten to death by Herpter.
Yeah, that pretty much sounds like Gestalt right now.
I played a character similar to that, but it was a well, actually they weren't similar in the violence area, but in the brain area. And the intelligence lowest stat, wisdom highest stat. And I think Chris, really, you were the DM for it. It was one of my favorite campaigns. I played a character named Claw, who was he was a mentally retarded boy who thought he was a dog, and he was a druid, and he was taught by dogs what life and honor was about. He could speak canine, like, because of his druidic nature, and everyone around him, when he was speaking to dogs who knew what was going on in the world, so they were giving him relevant information, they thought he was insane because the dogs were telling him what was happening, and he told the party what was going on. And he spoke really wise words, like, he was an idiot almost all the time, but then he said things that were, like, profound. There was a point where the party was, like, in shambles and they were fighting, and they wouldn't work together. And I believe the words Claw spoke were, "It is the wolf who hunts in a pack that gets the biggest elk."
Yeah.
And that everybody shut up and just stared at him for a couple seconds and was like, "That was pretty smart." Which I appreciate wisdom-based characters because they can say things that sound intelligent, but intelligence and wisdom are two separate things. That's a different topic for an entirely different show. We'll get into that another time.
I think the tropiest trope character I've ever seen played. I've never actually played any, like, super tropey ones, which makes me a little sad. But the tropiest one I've ever seen was played by by this guy who's a total munchkin, but he's a fun munchkin to play with, surprisingly. But I was running a thief campaign, and this guy rolled up a barbarian, an orc barbarian named Lurtz. Lurtz was... Lurtz is amazing. I love Lurtz, and he goes down in the annals of my gaming career as one of the best characters I've ever gotten to run for. Oh gosh, he is hilarious. Because he's like a lot like Herb Derp the Violent Retard. In a party full of like neutral and good people, he was the one chaotic evil character.
Jesus.
He was also the muscle of the party, meaning that he had no reason to be able to be in this thief game about heists and things, being just stomping around, smashing things. But this is the sort of things that he would do. The first heist they did, they were stealing an art collection from a noble.
Oh, great. Uh-huh.
He's on the infiltration team. He's not part of the distraction team. He's part of the infiltration team to go in there, bust in, and steal stuff. So what they do is the infiltration team manages to sneak into the little art area of this guy's house. And they're like grabbing everything. Then they hear guards outside. They're like, "Oh no, what do? We can't go through the one door here." So Lurtz is like, "I'm gonna Kool-Aid Man through the wall."
Okay. That's always great.
Okay, roll a strength check to bust through the wall. He rolls it and, actually spreads his arms out and yells, "Oh yeah!" charges at the wall, and actually succeeds in just busting a Lurt-sized hole in the wall. Just straight through. They go out through the hole in the wall and manage to escape with the loot. This is the sort of thing that Lurtz pulls throughout the rest of the game. He is violent, he is rather stupid, and he is the most lovable guy that you will ever encounter. He also, like, at one point tried to, like, what? At one point he tried to, like, he's just hilarious, violent, and wonderful. I think he managed to, like, if we had counted his damage correctly on the final boss, he would have killed it in one shot. This is Lurtz, and he is great, and he is the biggest trope character I've ever seen, and somehow
I know what you were going to say, Chris. We are about out of time. We're going to do closing statements and then sign off. Christopher, final statements on tropes.
Tropes are very comfortable. You should always consider them when you're stuck in something. And then be careful, however, because there is a chance that you may completely erase the line and go straight into cliche. So, useful, just watch out.
Steven, final thoughts on tropes.
Final thoughts on tropes. They're very, very, very useful storytelling tools. They are a way to establish familiarity with the world, especially if you're homebrewing. Also, they're very useful if you're just starting out GMing or playing. For both cases, it's very useful. The thing to know, though, is you need to evolve past them. You need to better your characters, better your storytelling. You can still use them as a building base, but you got to make them more than the trope.
Alec, final thoughts on tropes.
I'm gonna ditto everyone else, as cheap as that is.
You son of a bitch. My final thoughts on tropes. If I'm being entirely honest, and I usually am, they are a good thing. They're there to give you comfort, peace of mind, a safety net if you need it, and a point for you to structure from. The evil wizard will always be the evil wizard. You can have a character who you didn't start out as an evil wizard, and if he's an evil wizard, they're going to say it's a tropey evil wizard. But make him something else. Make him not just evil, make him goddamn terrifying. And as always, this is Table Knights Entertainment. We thank you so much, and I remembered today to fucking read next week's subject.
I was about
to remind you too.
We've forgotten how many times now?
Like
We've forgotten, yes.
We've forgotten the yes number. Okay, next week's subject. Very interesting subject, actually. Puzzles. How to implement them and what to do if a character can't figure them out. So, join us next Tuesday as we discuss that topic. Don't forget to donate to Child's Play because they are an amazing charity and we really appreciate it if you do. If you do donate, let us know, please, because we want to shout your fucking praises. I'm actually going to make a subscriber video soon because we have hit 60 subscribers. So, yay on that. And I actually, while you're here, Steven, I wanted to give you a special thank you. You've brought in about 15 subscribers, which is nearly over 1/6 of what we have now.
That's a quarter of what you have right now, I believe.
15 out of...
Yes, it is a quarter of what you have right now.
Oh, yes. So there, you've been a fantastic help to us. I was Aaron Justin Bryant from Table Knights Entertainment here today with Christopher Lopez and Alec Leon from the same, and Stephen Knoll, who is associated with us, but from, what's the channel?
Yannick's House of Gaming. The channel will be going up soonish.
Give me the link, I'll put it in the description below.
I don't have the link yet because it's not
when you have
yet. When I do have it, I will tell you, and you can put it up, and I will also probably have videos by then. So,
from all of us here at Table Knights Entertainment, have a wonderful night, and roll on.
And Merry Christmas.